Hey there, welcome back to the channel. It's back to school season, and that means it's an exciting and stressful time. There's back to school shopping for new clothes and school supplies, you're excited to see your school friends, and if you're just starting college, this can be a very exciting and anxious time for you. But with all these heightened emotions comes increased stress, and this can prevent us from getting the quality sleep we need. Students and teachers can both suffer from this, and it's important to start the school year on the right foot with a proper sleep schedule. So today, I'm giving my personal tips and tricks for how to keep a sleep schedule during the school year. Hey everyone, my name is Matthew, and welcome to Calm Insomniac, where we're a community of people trying to get a better night's sleep. If you enjoy learning about sleep health, sleep tips, and relaxing classical music, then please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Before we begin, I want to explain why I feel semi-qualified to discuss back-to-school sleep tips. Most of my life has revolved around an academic calendar. I have a master's degree, I'm currently in an academic setting, and I've been a public school teacher, so I've spent most of my life in school. Early in my undergraduate degree, I learned the importance of sticking to a sleep schedule, which is a long story for another day. But this experience allowed me to stay well-rested, focused on my studies, and maintain a sense of normalcy. School is stressful for teachers and students, and poor sleep doesn't help this. But prior planning prevents poor sleep choices, and these tips and tricks I've developed over my academic years have really helped me, and I imagine they'll help you too. So let's begin with our first tip, which is keep caffeine to a minimum. Caffeine is a trap. I've seen many friends and colleagues begin the school year drinking only 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and by the end of the school year, they drink upwards of 5 cups of coffee throughout the day. And students are drinking caffeine at an even younger age. I had a 6th grade student tell me how much she loved coffee and needed it to get through the day. There are some benefits to caffeine when used properly, which I discuss in more detail in this video over here. But unfortunately, caffeine is too often overused and abused. I personally don't need coffee to wake up in the morning, but I recognize that most people do. So if you need coffee to wake up in the morning, try to stick to 2 cups of coffee a day and don't consume coffee beyond noon. This is a small amount enough of caffeine where you can experience the benefits of it while not experiencing the negative side effects. Caffeine can stay in our system for a long time, and drinking coffee or having any kind of caffeine past noon can become tricky because it can stay in our system even by the time we get to bed, and this can of course keep us up at night. And with this small amount of caffeine in the morning, this will keep your brain alert so that you can actually stay focused on your studies. My next tip is to set a bedtime. Now I know this might sound childish, but this really works. Setting a bedtime keeps you to a schedule so long as you actually are diligent and stick to it. Begin by analyzing your school schedule and determine your earliest class. And then figure out how long it takes you to get ready in the morning and also commute to class. So whatever time you need to wake up, set your bedtime for 8 hours before then. This is the system I've used for years and it's really helped me. It's recommended that the average adult sleep 7 to 9 hours a night. So getting into bed 8 hours before you need to wake up will hopefully get you somewhere in the middle of that time frame, hopefully about 7.5 hours. Now I realize that as soon as you get into bed, you won't immediately fall asleep, but the goal is that you're in bed for a long enough time and hopefully you sleep for the majority of that time. And this can be adapted to meet your personal sleep requirements. If you only need 7 hours of sleep, then make an adjustment. Or if you're a teenager and you know that you need more than 9 hours of sleep, then also make that adjustment. The caveat, though, is you need to stick to your bedtime religiously. And this is undeniably difficult. This means you have to be really diligent and plan out your days well in advance. This means you really have to understand your school schedule, your work obligations, when you do homework, and understand how many social events you can attend. And it's important that you make sleep and your bedtime a true priority. It will take a while to develop this habit, and in the early stages it will be really difficult. But once the habit is developed, you'll really notice some positive results. My next tip is to do your homework. Now, no one likes homework. Students don't like doing it, and teachers don't like grading it, but not doing your homework can actually affect your sleep schedule. If you're like me and have some procrastination tendencies, you'll find any excuse to not do your homework during the day. This might mean you do it in the middle of the night, or even worse, during class the next day. Doing homework in the middle of the night is obviously a terrible idea because this directly interferes with your sleep schedule, but not doing your homework is also subconsciously stressful. Even if you aren't a good student, this pressure will subconsciously affect you, and remember that stress and anxiety are huge factors that can alter our sleep quality. Also, if you do your homework during the middle of the night, your brain isn't at peak performance, and doing homework the next day in class means you aren't focusing on the new material you're supposed to be learning. Either of these scenarios means that you're not getting the actual benefit of doing homework, which is reinforcing the material you've learned. And trust me that finishing your homework earlier in the day gives you a strong sense of accomplishment and relief, and this will allow you to feel more relaxed when you go to bed that night. This next tip goes right along with our last tip, and that is don't do your homework in your bedroom. Now, I have to admit that I did most of my homework in my bedroom, but I did learn that that was a big mistake. Our bedroom should only be for sleep. We don't want to associate anything other than sleep in our bedroom because that can bring negative associations to our time when we're supposed to be sleeping. For example, bringing work into your bedroom means that you might begin associating the stress of work with your bedroom, and stress doesn't allow us to get the proper sleep we need. I discovered in graduate school that completing schoolwork in an office, the library, or even my living room was a much more productive workspace. And this is because our mind is in the right state of mind, and we understand that in these spaces we can do work. Likewise, when we only associate our bedroom with sleep, then we're in the right state of mind to go to sleep. So really give this a try. Find a dedicated work area and only do your work there. I think you'll notice some positive results, and this is a little bit of mental trickery, but if you know anything about Pavlov and his dog, then you'll know that they were right. Our next tip is to limit electronics before bed. Now, this is another really difficult habit to break, but it's a very important one, and this is good advice whether you're in school or not. Using electronics, particularly with screens, can interrupt or alter our circadian rhythm. Our circadian rhythm is our body's internal process that regulates our sleep cycle, and this process is largely controlled by the light-dark cycle of the world around us. So when it's dark outside, this signals to our brain that it's time to go to sleep. But if we're using screens that emit these harsh lights at night, this can prevent this process from happening properly. Our electronic devices can also be a huge source of unnecessary stress. Scrolling through social media at night is one of the worst things you can do. You might experience fear of missing out, get involved in drama, see political posts, or any other negative that's associated with social media. Additionally, if you check your work email on your phone, you might discover some emails you need to respond to. Or if you watch a TV show or a movie, you might become too engaged and stay up an extra few hours that you otherwise could have been sleeping. Instead, try to stop using your electronic devices 1 hour before you go to bed. Again, I know this is really hard, but this will really help you in the long run. There's nothing wrong with watching TV before bed, but make sure you don't watch TV in bed. So if you go to bed at 10 p.m., then stop watching TV by 9 p.m. and fill that hour with something relaxing, like listening to music or reading a book. And my final tip is to know when to stop working. The farther along you get in your educational journey, the more demanding the projects get. The end of your undergraduate, your master's, a doctorate, all of these have very huge projects that require hours or days or weeks or even months of work. It's crucial to pace yourself and complete these big projects over a period of time, and this is good advice in general. It's very common to see college and graduate students pulling all-nighters to complete these massive assignments. This is, unsurprisingly, a terrible idea. I've never pulled an all-nighter, but I have had some very late work and study sessions, and they are not beneficial at all. Instead, know your limits. Know when you need to stop working, and at that point just go to sleep. And remember to maintain your bedtime. There will come a point where you figuratively hit a brick wall, and at this point it's no longer beneficial to try to push through and keep working or studying. Instead, just go to bed and work on it the next day. Alright, those are my top back-to-school tips for keeping a sleep schedule. They've really worked for me, I imagine they'll work for you, and I have many more tips that we can talk about in the future, but this is a really good starting point. Let me know in the comments below, which of these tips have you tried before, or which of these tips are you going to try? I'd love to hear your results. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Pinterest, check out my website, and join my email list. All of those links are down below. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more sleep tips, then I suggest you check out this playlist right over here. And if you missed my last video where I discuss dreaming, what dreams are, and what they might mean, then check out this video down over here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.